Hi, I'm Dee and I have multiple sclerosis. I'm following the Overcoming Multiple Sclerosis diet and I'm making some videos of the meals that I make in case it helps anybody. Today we're making Maki Rolls, and I say we because I'm hoping my children are going to help, as they usually do. But I think they might be a bit camera shy, so we'll see how that goes. I haven't hidden from them the fact that they do have a chance of developing MS, a small chance, but they do have that chance. And I do see it as one of my responsibilities to get them used to my diet and to enjoy the food. So if ever they need to follow my diet too, they can do so, and I'll have some meals in mind that they can use. The other thing I do is I give them 2,000 units of vitamin D every day. In here I have 400 grams of sushi rice. I just bought this at the local supermarket. The first most important step is to rinse it really well. Let's put some water in there. Give it a good stir around. And you can see that water is quite milky. We need to do this a few times until the water is much more transparent. There. I think, to be honest, if this was a Japanese restaurant, they'd probably do it 1 or 2 more times, but I'm happy with that. Now what I need to do is transfer it into a heavy bottomed pan and leave it soaking in cold water for half an hour. This is definitely a time-consuming meal. The individual bits of work are not difficult, but I think you have to allow something like 2 or 2.5 hours between start to finish, and that involves lots of waiting around time. Okay, so this has now been standing for 30 minutes. I'm now going to drain off this liquid, and then I'm going to add 440 mils of water, and that's the water we're going to cook it in. So I'm going to now bring that to the boil. When it's boiling, we want to leave it on a high boil for 5 minutes and then reduce the heat to a simmer for 10 minutes. I had to release the lid a few times during that big boil because it looked like it was going to boil over. So as a result, I'm just going to add a bit more water. Okay, it's finished cooking now. I think the thing with rice is to just check it every now and then. So I think I've finished it a couple of minutes early because it definitely looks like it's cooked enough now. I'm going to leave that to stand for 10 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to make the dressing for the rice. We'll need about 40 to 50 mils of white wine vinegar. About a dessert spoonful of salt. That sounds like a lot, but this is going to feed 4 of us for 2 days in a row. So we have to divide it by 8 really to understand how much we're eating in one meal. I'm also going to add almost a dessert spoonful of caster sugar. On the OMS diet, we need to really limit our sugar intake, because if we have excess sugar in our blood, it will be converted into saturated fats. But again, if I divide that by 8, I think that's okay. I won't be having any more sugar for today. I'll give that a good stir. Okay, so this rice has stood for 10 minutes now. Going to scoop it into a baking tray. Only because it's big, we're not going to have to cook it anymore. I'm going to give our dressing another stir before we pour it on. And then just fold the rice over to mix that dressing into all of the rice. And the other food I'm going to put inside is some salmon. We don't exactly cook sushi in my house. In all honesty, I haven't found a supplier that I could trust yet that would definitely supply fish that is fresh enough for me to be able to trust it to feed it to my family. So I just use smoked salmon. But smoked salmon is really good because it's really high in omega-3 fatty acids. I'm also going to use some red pepper. We could use avocado too, and I'm sure I've read a piece of research on the MS Society website recently that said that avocados are really good at suppressing our immune response. So MS is caused by our white blood cells, our immune cells, attacking our own cells in our brain and our spinal cord. But if this is true, and I haven't found it since, if I can, I'll put the link onto the description underneath. If it's true, then that could really suppress our immune system from doing that. Okay, I'm still hoping I can convince my children to do the rolling part. They're so good at it and they normally love it. But before I cool them down, I'm just going to show you what's useful to have ready in advance. These are our rolling mats. They're just old table mats, but they roll really well, so they're fine. You can buy sushi mats. They're quite cheap, but I just didn't need to. I'm going to get them to roll them up on grease-proof paper, but their hands will get really sticky. So it's really good when making maki rolls or any kind of sushi rice meal to have a water bowl ready and a clean towel. So we're just using the seaweed product that we use to make maki rolls is called nori, and that just came from the local supermarket. You put the shiny side down and the parallel lines, the lines that go along it, parallel to the edge of the paper. Have you two washed your hands, by the way?
Oh. Oh, you should probably cut that bit out.
It's okay, go on. Meanwhile, I'm going to put the rice on here ready. Well done. Oh, can you get yourself a spoon, please, to spread it out?
Watching the clock thingy timer.
Is that good enough?
Can you just fill in that gap on the edge there and this bottom corner, I would say. We need the filling. What filling do you want?
Salmon.
Oh.
Salmon.
Salmon. Yeah, I'd like the salmon too.
Wow, look at that. Perfect length. Or perfect width.
It's only 3 minutes.
We have to just line up the paper and the mat, and then that's it. Roll it over, and then when we get to this point, what do we do?
You put it up.
Give it a good squeeze, don't you? Just to get that first roll in place. And then
Then you carry on.
Then
you do.
Yep, you have to then roll it again. And give it a good squeeze all over.
Roll it
And roll it again. Try not to trap the paper.
Good. Now take the paper.
Oh yeah, so
And wet it.
that's right, you have to wet it again. Keep it on the paper.
Can I have my salmon now?
Yeah, sure.
I think I'm
Not
ready.
the way. Right. And then you just do.
Look at that. Good boy.
Right.
Look at that. Excellent. And this is it so far. Of course, you could make them with thinner layers of rice. They're slightly less chunky and therefore easier to fit into your mouth, but we will still enjoy eating these. The problem is, if I try to cut these now, they'll just tear. So what I now need to do is put them into the fridge to cool down. So I'd say 20 to 30 minutes. And here are the MS friendly Maki Rolls. I hope this was useful to you. Thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to be notified of future recipes, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. The link for that is on my Instagram account, which is MS&D. Details of that are to follow on the next section. Thank you very much.